Alrighty, everybody. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back here to another live, my friends. We got ourselves an update here on the weather for ya. Hope everyone is doing well. Oh my goodness, dude. We didn't even have a chance to start before Christy comes in with a 10. Thank you so much, Christy. That is really, really nice of you. Thank you. You guys in chat, please give Christy a big thank you for the support right off the bat, instantly crushing our goal here tonight. Thank you so much, Christy. That is greatly appreciated. Once again, big thank you. That's really, really nice of you. Let's see. What's up, Matt? Good to see you. What's up, Ma? What's up? Obviously, Christy. Hope you're doing well. What's up, Sharon? Of course, welcome everybody else who is here but just not chatting. What's up, Omar? Hope you are doing well, my friend. Anyway, so we got ourselves a bit of an update here on the tropics and really everything. So we do have ourselves a hurricane. We are actually, or tropical storm right now, but it is expected to become a hurricane relatively shortly, actually sooner than what we first thought here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off those warnings here for now. But anyway, so right now we are watching Gabrielle, currently still, you know, as of this was the same as it was yesterday, still sustained at 50 miles an hour, central load down to 1,004. We really haven't seen a whole lot of, you know, strengthening with the system. Let me go ahead and bring up the satellite imagery real quickly so I can kind of show you guys, you know, what we're looking at right now. But, you know, I mean, it looks decent. It does look decent. It looks a whole lot better than it did before. I mean, before it looked absolutely terrible. I mean, it barely even looked like a tropical system there beforehand. But now it's definitely looking a lot better, which is definitely good. Well, for the system anyways, not good for, you know, it being there, which hopefully, you know, thankfully it's not supposed to do a whole lot, but we'll get to that here in a minute. Anyways, but yeah, so that's it right now. You can see, I mean, we do got some pretty good convection. We have centralized a lot of that convection to the center of the storm, so the system is starting to pick up a little bit here. Now, we are going to be seeing this thing strengthen from here on out. Here it is going to be rolling out of wind shear. You know, not a whole lot of changes between now and 2 a.m. tomorrow. They still have it at 52 miles an hour here for tomorrow morning. However, after that point, we're going to start picking up some strength here. This is for tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. We're expected to be right around 60 to 65 mile per hour sustained at this point tomorrow. Central, or it doesn't show central low, but, you know, still higher gusts upwards of 75 miles an hour being possible. Now, here's the thing. We're actually expecting this thing to become a hurricane, a Category 1 here for the morning of the 21st. So this actually wasn't expected until, I believe, the 22nd with this system yesterday that we were talking about, kind of late the 22nd, early 23rd. But, you know, the way that the newest models and stuff like that have come through, Hurricane Center has went ahead and said that we have ourselves, you know, a little bit earlier of expectancy here for the system to become a hurricane. So, yeah, so by the morning here of the 21st, we are expecting this thing to be a Cat 1 sustained at 75. It is expected to become even a Category 2. So here is Bermuda. You can see there's Hamilton. So this is Bermuda, just a little itty-bitty speck out there. The good news is that the cone is well east of Bermuda now. So the center of the storm, the worst of the storm, is not going to be directly impacting Bermuda. However, there could still be some indirect impacts. We could have some, you know, swelling of the waters, maybe some coastal flooding occurring, maybe some rip currents could be a bit of an issue for Bermuda. For the United States, that is not a concern. I just want to go ahead and say that right off the bat. We are not expecting any impacts in the United States. So everybody who's wondering, don't worry about it. This system is not going to be a problem for us at all. But like I mentioned, you know, we are expecting the system to become a Category 2. So by the time we approach the afternoon of the 22nd, the Hurricane Center has the system having sustained winds of 105 miles an hour, rounding to, with gusts upwards right around 130 miles an hour. So I mean, it is definitely going to be quite a strong system here. It is definitely expected to. And then, of course, we continue working our way over here to the northeast. You know, you can see a big shift in the track here. kind of gets caught up in the jet stream, and wind shear starts to get to it, and all kinds of mess like that. But for the next little bit, the system's going to be working its way kind of northwest, and then once we kind of approach towards Bermuda, just east of Bermuda, we're going to start to pick up a northeasterly movement, and that'll be kind of right around the afternoonish here for the 22nd. That's kind of when we're going to really start to see that northeasterly turn from the northwesterly turn that it previously was. And then of course, system's just going to continue going up there, further up north into the North Atlantic, which it should not be an issue, really, other than that. But, like I mentioned, there could be some indirect impacts out here by Bermuda. I do want to take you guys over here to the models. We're going to look at the GFS here, so let's hop you guys over here. So, first things first, let's go ahead and pull up the North Atlantic here. And we're going to take a look at some of those wave heights here. This is for the Gulf here overall. So, I just saw Omar's comment saying Gulf there. I looked at it briefly. That's not what I meant to say. So, here's the things. But we are going to have a little bit of concerns here, of some big waves here with the system. GFS, this is the 18 UTC run, still showing Bermuda. You can see right there. Bermuda's that little itty-bitty speck. I know it's kind of hard to see for you guys. That is right around 10 feet, potentially. So possibly waves upwards of 10 feet, maybe even locally higher. Could be a bit of a concern. That's the GFS. The European model actually kind of agrees now. Yesterday there was about a 4 or 5 feet difference between the GFS and the Euro. Now they seem to be on track. They seem to actually be pretty good. So that is definitely good that we have agreement here, but it's not really good because we are still going to be seeing some really, really rough waters out there. So, obviously people don't really want to go boating in that, especially small craft. You do not want to be out in that, that could be a big problem. Not to mention, if you're on the beach at Bermuda, be aware of some rip currents, because that will be a bit of an issue. Is, if you don't know what a rip current is, basically, a rip current is a strong current of water. Say you go in the water, it's a strong current that pulls away from the coast, and it can actually pull you out to sea. That's why it's very dangerous. So be sure that if you are at the beach, or if you're going to be at the beach, during this, just make sure that you are not going that deep in the water, because obviously you do not want to get swept out to sea. So that would definitely not be a good thing. So just keep an eye out there for that. So yeah, waves, obviously rip currents, that will be an issue for areas out there in Bermuda. But, thankfully the worst of the storm here is going to be just east of Bermuda here overall, which is definitely some good news. Now, here is some of the hurricane models here. This is the HWRF. So you can actually see there's Bermuda right there. Once again, the main system just to the east of Bermuda. Nowhere near tropical storm force winds or anything like that. The system's not necessarily the biggest storm ever. It's kind of a smaller storm, to be honest with you. Now, you can actually see, once again, there's Bermuda. Tropical storm force winds really kind of begin here in this green color. This is kind of where we really start to see like 40 knots, which is right up at tropical storm force. You can see all of that's going to be well far away from Bermuda. But the thing is like I said, a system like this can really still move around a lot of water. It is going to be really allowing for those waves to get pretty big overall. Let's see here. Omar said Gulf and Caribbean. What about it? Let's see here, Drew. Let's keep the hurricanes away at least until after my cruise. No promises. No promises. We'll see what happens. I can't do anything about that. If it happens, it happens. It's nature. But anyways, yeah. Hopefully not. But anyways, but like I mentioned, yeah, the system should just be well far east of Bermuda, which is good. Here's the HMON model. Kind of looking at another model here, you can really see. Bermuda doesn't even pop up in the field of view here, which is good. The HMON has the system getting pretty big as it worked its way up to the north here, which is definitely pretty interesting here. As the system getting stronger as well as bigger overall. I believe at this point it'll be. See, this is right around the 22nd, 23rd. Okay, so at this point in time, it's likely going to be getting into some of those cooler waters and stuff, which, will become probably more of a non-tropical cyclone, non-tropical low. Will at least be starting the transition likely into that. But anyways, yeah, like I said, good news. Everything's just well away from Bermuda. Should not be a bit of an issue there. Here's HAFSA. Another model. So once again, there's Bermuda, that little speck off to the west here. Once again, the worst of it, tropical storm force and hurricane force winds well off the coast of Bermuda will not be an issue for anybody. The system will just be a fish storm, but once again, there still could definitely be some concerns with the waves and the rip currents and everything like that. That will absolutely be a bit of a concern for Bermuda. So once again, anybody out there, if you know anybody out there, just give them a heads up. I would avoid getting in the water. I mean, you can go to the beach and look at the waves, whatever, but just don't go in the water, because at that point, that's where it could be a bit of a problem. So, we're just looking out for you guys, just looking out for y'all. But, I'm sure they actually put red flags up on the beach, I'm pretty sure, for rip currents. So if it's bad, look out for those signs. But, I just really wouldn't recommend it. Now, in terms of when the waves arrive, I'm sure you guys are probably wondering when. Let me go ahead and hop back to the North Atlantic view here. I might be able to hop to the... Let's see here, maybe the Western Atlantic. Yeah, you can see Bermuda a little bit better there. There's that little speck right there. But yeah, looking at the wave heights here from GFS, you can see that those waves are gonna, right now they're not too bad. Right now they're kind of normal, but it looks like those waves are really gonna start picking up here, probably right around the afternoon, evening of the 21st. So we have a couple of days before those really begin, and it kind of looks like some of the peak highest waves are pretty much going to be here right around the morning of the 22nd. That is kind of when it seems like we're going to have some of the highest waves here overall. So we'll definitely look into that. We are talking, once again, possibly upwards of 10 foot or so, maybe locally higher. Could definitely be something we need to look into. But anyways, so we'll definitely just keep an eye on it. Euro, not too far off. I mean, they're actually pretty similar in terms of, the timing as well as, overall the impacts here. Once again, kind of the worst of it being right around the morning of the 22nd here for the most part. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye out there for that. Now, I do want to update you guys on another system that we're watching here in the tropics. So, obviously we have, Gabrielle. This is the main system we're watching. Once again, tropical storm expected to become a hurricane, but just, no hurricane conditions for anybody except for the waters out here. But we do have another system, another disturbance here from the hurricane center. You guys can see this yellow circled area here across the main development region. So this area of interest here has an overall 20% chance probability of development in the next 7 days. So right now, pretty low odds of developing here. The next 7 days, next week, we have a 20% chance of this thing becoming a depression or a tropical storm, which is extremely unlikely. And throughout the next 48 hours, the next 2 days, we have a 0% chance, a low probability here of development. So we're not expecting anything to really occur here really anytime soon. I mean, even in the next 7 days, the odds are pretty darn low of this thing even doing anything. So not too worried about this system here. Christy says, so Florida isn't getting it again. Nope, Florida is in the clear, my friend. We are, we're looking pretty good. I mean, anywhere in the United States, no current tropical impacts expected for anybody here. The Eastern Pacific, we do have a little bit of activity going on here. They've been lowering this guy a lot. This was actually a high chance of development yesterday, but they removed it, or not removed it, but they've lowered it significantly. But we do have this new one here. This is actually an Invest here, 97E. So this system is actually in a pretty good shot. That's a new one. Pretty good chance of, I meant to say shot and chance at the same time, so I said shot. That's interesting. Anyways, but, let's see here. But yeah, we have an 80% chance probability here overall of development with this one in the next 7 days here. In the next 48 hours, we do have a 40% chance as well. So, we have a chance of this thing actually doing something here within the next few days. So let's hop over here to the models real quickly. I do want to look at 97E. Just to kind of show you guys what we could be seeing with this one. So let's go ahead and hop you guys over here to that right now. So that is... not what I wanted to look at, but we'll go ahead and bring you guys over here anyways. So here is some of the members here. This is the GEPS model with a bunch of its members. You can see that some of them have it kind of going towards the Baja California Peninsula, but majority keep it just to the west here for the most part. Although quite a bit of models do have this system becoming, possibly quite strong, maybe even well into hurricane status. Here's the hurricane models. There's only a few of them that have ran so far with the system. We'll probably have more information on that here tomorrow. But overall, you can see that models, all the models projected here do at least show tropical storm with, majority of them actually having this thing becoming a hurricane as well. So that is definitely a good possibility here overall that we'll, probably end up seeing a hurricane with that as well. So we'll definitely have to see. Here's some more models. This is the GEPS ensembles here. You can see, once again, a few of them kind of going towards the Baja California Peninsula, some of them just going further west. Obviously, there's, a lot of disagreement here still. But, yeah, so, we'll definitely just be monitoring it. Doesn't, seem to be too much of a huge concern right now, but obviously we'll keep our eyes on it as well. Eastern Pacific should be monitored, too. It's not usually as impactful as the Atlantic can be, but there is still some areas that could be impacted by the Eastern Pacific, so we'll have to see what happens with that system here overall. But yeah, so back to this guy. Once again, the other system here in the Atlantic here. Once again, overall 20% chance. Now I'm gonna hop you guys over to models again, and we're going to kind of look a little bit more in depth here with this upcoming system. So obviously we have Gabrielle, which is right here. You can actually see. So we work our way down in time here, and you can actually see there is this low right here. This is the one that they're talking about, possibly could maybe become a system to watch out for. But, honestly, GFS really doesn't pick up much on it, to be honest with you. Honestly, I would not be surprised if that probability just eventually just dies out, because there's just really not a whole lot of support on it. I mean, we'll look at the ensembles here in a minute. But yeah, GFS, the individual 18 UTC run does not suggest really anything here. I mean, everything looks pretty, pretty low with the system here. Once again, Gabrielle, GFS does have it becoming, hurricane, obviously, which it is expected to do. And of course, works its way off here to the northeast. But, once again, just not really any big concern here for, that secondary system. Now, when comparing this, it's once again, it's obviously great to compare models. It's a terrible idea to just look at one model. So that's why we look at a whole bunch of other models here on the channel. So ECMWF, so there's Gabrielle. So the Euro really does not have anything picking up with that second system. And, the two main models, GFS and Euro, both are not really suggesting anything out of that system here. I mean, we go up to 180 hours out here. I don't want to go any further than this. I mean, you can see that's, not a whole lot really happening other than Gabrielle. I mean, this season's been just terrible. It's been super quiet, which, I mean, it's good. I mean, seriously. I mean, obviously the less storms, the less impacts, the better. But, in terms of activity, it's been very quiet this year here. And then, of course, we have other models like CMC. Once again, there's Gabrielle. Now, CMC does have a little bit more support here, with that invest here. Or, sorry, not invest, that disturbance is what I meant to say. It's not an invest, by the way. But, with that system here, working its way westward, it does have a little bit more support, but it really doesn't have it materializing really into anything either. So, there's that. And then, lastly, we do have the Icon model, which... yeah, Icon, you can see, doesn't really either. So that's why I'm really firm on, while I believe that this is probably just going to lose its chance overall. I mean, it just doesn't really seem like it's going to actually do it because majority of models really do not pick up on it. So with that being said, I do want to show you guys a few more things here. We're going to look at the ECENS here. So this is this is a model. The ECNS is a model, but it's a bunch of members. It's a model with a bunch of little models. We call members here. So in terms of where we stand here, I'm going to go up to 210 hours out. So looking at this here, you can see, I mean, obviously we have all these members here for Gabrielle. We do have a few members presented by the model for that second system, for that disturbance we were just talking about, working its way here to the northwest here. There's a very limited amount of support with this, though. There's really not a whole lot of members here really talking about it. GEFS, this is another model. You can see all those members from, Gabrielle, obviously worked its way out to sea. Not a concern for anywhere in the United States, so don't worry about it. And then, of course, limited support with that second system here. The FNV3 model, let's see. Oh, wow. Exceeding load capacity. Please try again later. Try again. Try again later. What about GENC? All right, let's try GENC here. We're going to go to, once again, 210 hours out. Okay, that's interesting. So this is actually the strongest signal I've seen, the GENC. You can actually see a decent amount of members here. You can see all the ones that have already went off This was Gabrielle. They're way off here. There is a little bit of support here with the GENC, but with the weight of literally all the other models we looked at, comparing to this one model with a bunch of these members, it really makes you wonder, because you got to go with what the majority has to say. You got to go with the majority of the models agree on, and in this case, there's really not much with that second system. So I'm going to lean towards the second system. Obviously, isn't an issue, but I really don't think we're going to see too much. What's up, Brady? Good to see ya. I'm enjoying an Indian summer until next weekend. Nice, dude. Enjoy it. What's up, John? Saying I can't tell that little storm near Chicago is rotating because the radar site shows red over green. I can look for you real quickly. There is no threat out here. What, this guy? Yeah, it's not even severe warned. I mean, I could look at velocity for you, but I doubt it's doing anything. Nah, that's really nothing. That's really nothing. I wouldn't worry about him, dude. Yeah, I mean, you guys are in a general thunderstorm threat, but that's not a threat for severe weather. Omar says, will the U.S. see a hurricane? Not anytime soon. Not within at least the next 7 days. So that's good. That's obviously good. But, I mean, obviously we still have the rest of this month to go through. We have all of October to go through. Still pretty active times. October is also a pretty active tropical month. I mean, obviously so far this season we've had a pretty slow, season in the tropics, but it's it could change, and I do think it will. I think we will get a little bit more of an active second half than the first half, absolutely. So, see, John says I wasn't sure, so I figured I'd ask you as a precaution. No, you're good, dude. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, it's not really anything. It's just a normal little shower here. It shouldn't be any concern. So you're good. We do have a little bit of severe weather, though, up here in Kansas. We do have a little marginal risk today. I mean, even severe weather-wise, we are looking pretty quiet. There's really not a whole lot. We do have a marginal risk here for today. Tornado-wise, though, we do. This is actually what they added here. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect here for the next 4 hours. Got a few little severe storms going on here. 2-inch hail. Wow. Okay, so we got some pretty big hail on these guys. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and 2-inch hail going on out here. But yeah, they did add a little 2% tornado threat. I didn't think that they would. Last time we checked that yesterday, they didn't have that, but I guess they added it today. We do have a 5% wind threat as well, and I'm assuming a 5% hail threat. That should honestly be higher. I guess since the coverage of storms is pretty low, that's probably why it's set a low 5%. But still, that's significant hail, though. That's 2-inch hail. That's considered significant hail. So yeah, I mean, probably more realistically, like a 15 sig should be there. To be honest, I mean, based off of considering both of these guys are like golf ball to 2-inch hail, that's pretty significant. Anyways, now tomorrow we don't have any severe weather expected. We do have a really big thunderstorm risk though. You guys can see the light green here, all the way from the west to the east here. You can see. So basically, this is what we call a general thunderstorm risk here. This is where we have the potential for a couple booms of thunder. So a little bit of thunderstorm activity. A few booms of thunder can't be ruled out for some of these areas, but just not expected to do anything severe. We're not expecting any severe weather out here. Obviously, Florida has some as well. Coastal Texas, a little bit of coastal North Carolina. Just a little bit of storms possible, nothing severe. Then same thing for day 3. That'd be the day after tomorrow. So since today is Friday, that would be on Sunday. So on Sunday, we also just have a big thunderstorm risk here. Nothing really crazy. So that is that. Honestly, we're looking pretty good. Nothing really crazy severe weather-wise going on either. We will look at the precipitation forecast as well. So this is over the next 5 days. So this is from today to 5 days from now, regarding precipitation overall. So we actually are expecting a decent amount of precipitation across portions of the Midwest and a little bit of the Central Plains here. If I go ahead and draw here, you guys can kind of see some of the heaviest of that is going to be across, some areas like southwestern Missouri, like northern Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, a little bit of southeastern Kansas. That's kind of where some of the heaviest of the rainfall is going to be here overall. So basically, you can see we could definitely pick up, maybe a couple of inches of rainfall out here. Maybe 2 upwards of 3 inches. Remember, this is within the next 5 days, so this is over the period of a couple of days here. A decent amount out there by Illinois, maybe an inch or 2. Could be possible. Portions of Indiana, like western Kentucky, over the next 5 days. But elsewhere, I mean, it's honestly going to be pretty dry. I mean, these green areas here, by the way, this middle green or this dark green area here is only 0.3 of an inch. That's hardly any rain at all, and that's throughout the next 5 days. So you can kind of see we're really not expecting a whole lot of rain. Florida, South Florida's, believe it or not, Florida over the next few days is going to be pretty dry. Southern Florida, little bit different, but where I'm at, towards like Central Florida, it really doesn't hardly have us having anything here in the next 5 days here. Ohio Valley up by Ohio, we could pick up maybe an inch in the next 5 days or so. But just bottom line, not a whole lot of precipitation. The most of it in the country is going to be out there by, once again, southern Missouri, northern Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, and southeastern Kansas here overall. So that's that. So, once again, no severe weather going on. Nothing big, I should say, other than, today's risk that we have. But, tomorrow, day after, no risk for severe weather. No imminent, danger in the tropics for the states. We're looking pretty good. Obviously, we are seeing Gabrielle. It is going to become a hurricane and pretty soon. Even a Category 2. It's going to be a decent storm, but it's going to be far away from everywhere. Will not be an issue for any areas of land. I mean, even Bermuda, it's going to be far enough to the east where there's going to be no trouble, other than a little bit of rip current potential and some high waves. But that's really about it. Other than that, once again, the second disturbance or that disturbance that we have over here, that second system. I don't expect much out of it. Once again, I would not be surprised if they completely drop this by tomorrow. So just don't be surprised if that happens. There's just really limited support on that system, and I just don't think it has it in it, to be honest with you. But then other than that, I mean, yeah, that's really about all that's going on. I mean, like I said, there's just really not a whole lot happening right now. Severe weather's pretty calm. Rain's pretty calm as well. There's no like big time flooding or anything like that going on right now. Tropics are behaving themselves, I guess you could say. But yeah, I mean, other than that, we're pretty chill. But if you guys have any questions, go ahead and feel free to let me know. But yeah, we're probably going to call it a stream here. Just a quick 30-minute little update here. I mean, I'm going to try to go live every day, obviously, to update you guys, regardless of what's happening. And today is one of those days where it's just, we have a little bit of activity, but it's not going to be really too much of a concern, for anybody. So that's good. I mean, the main thing here right now is obviously the tropics, with Gabrielle, but once again, system's not going to be really a problem at all. It's just going to be a bit of a fish storm, and that's about it. And everybody knows how to navigate around them, boats, planes, whatever. So it really should not be a big concern. Let's see here. Let's see, the heat waves. What about? Oh, yeah. Actually, I will talk about that real quickly. The temperature, CPC. So, I mean, yeah, as you can see the map here, things are definitely, above normal in terms of temperatures here, especially up north here. So this is throughout the next 6 to 10 days here overall. And so basically we are seeing, a really good shot within the next 6 to 10 days of above average temperatures here. I mean, literally like the entire country, except for the extreme northwestern side here of Washington State, we do have a normal chance here, but majority of the country is going to be just above average in terms of temperatures. Now, precipitation here between the next 6 to 10 days, a little bit above average across the East Coast, the South as well, a little bit the West. Just really up north, towards the northern plains, upper Midwest here, it's going to be a little bit more drier than usual. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Let's see, Sleeveless says, why has it been so slow in the Atlantic this September? I think a mixture of dry air and wind shear has been really limiting to the system. And the amount of waves that we've gotten hasn't been many. There really hasn't been a whole lot of waves coming off of Africa this year. But I think the majority of it has to do with wind shear and moisture levels. Typically during like La Nina, that's where you typically have like the best conditions for tropical cyclones. With a lack of wind shear, allowing for more development to occur usually. But we're not in a La Nina. We're kind of in neutral status right now. So it's kind of like it could flop either way. We could get some activity for brief periods of time. Could be pretty quiet for brief periods of time. It's been pretty quiet for the first half of the season. Now, models, they've been showing some signs of the second half really kind of picking up here, in which we'll really have to kind of just monitor and see. Obviously we'll be here to track them if anything happens, but yeah, I honestly think that this season overall is going to be pretty quiet, but the second half will be more active than the first. So that's kind of where I stand here, with everything going on. But anyways, folks, well, if you guys have any more questions, don't hesitate to ask. We'll be more than happy to answer them for y'all. But, another thing I do want to mention here, actually, is what's going on up north. We got some freeze warnings now in effect, dude. Some freeze warnings. We're getting cold when you get those. We're getting close to the white, snowy season whenever we start getting a lot of those freeze warnings starting to come through. Let me actually hop you guys over to models real quickly. We'll take a peek here at the HRRR. I think they're supposed to get freezing tonight, if not tomorrow night. Let me check. Thermodynamics shaded. Here we go. So looking at the models here. Okay, you can see a few little areas down in the 30s for tomorrow morning. Oh, wow. You know what? HRRR barely has anybody getting into the 30s. I wonder why they have it so big. It's probably the county sizes, right? County sizes are pretty big in Maine. That's probably why. We got a lot to do with it. From what I see the most of, you can see, definitely still really, really cold. Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., HRRR does show maybe some freezing conditions in like the tip of northern New Hampshire. Maybe a little bit of like extreme western Maine here. But mostly kind of in like the mid 30s. Now, obviously, locally, models, can't really pick up, super high resolution. HRRR is about as best as it gets, and in terms of resolution. But, real life's resolution is far more greater than HRRR. I think it has a resolution of 1 kilometer. So like every kilometer is a plot. Let's see here. Will the Southwest get rain from the tropical systems by Mexico? That's actually a really good question. So, I do want to hop you over there real quickly. We'll just look at the models here and kind of see what some of the models do suggest here. So if we look at the Eastern Pacific, looking at the GFS model, we'll do mean sea level pressure and precipitation. Okay, so you can see we work our way down in time here. Here's the GFS. So GFS kind of has that system, remaining far away from anywhere, throughout Mexico. There's a few of those ensembles we were looking at earlier kind of had maybe going towards like Baja California Peninsula. It's too early to tell. As of right now, it doesn't look like we're really going to have any, big-time tropical moisture from any systems per se. But I will show you this. Actually, we just showed this a minute ago. So this is the overall precipitation outlook for the next 6 to 10 days. So basically 6 days from now to 10 days from now, you can see here in the Southwest, across areas like, Arizona, New Mexico, we do have, at least a 40% chance of above normal precipitation. The very low portion of Arizona here, we actually do have, a 50% chance probability of, above average precipitation here overall. And, a lot of the country, you could see across the west, the south, and the east here, we're actually going to be a bit more wet than usual, a bit more precipitation than usual. Up north, it's going to be a little bit different, for the northern plains, like the upper Midwest and stuff. You can actually see it's going to be a little bit more drier than typical. And, of course, the gray just kind of means right around normal, typical. Let's see, days 8 to 14. So this is kind of an extended look here from basically 1 week out to 2 weeks out from now, roughly. And you can see still kind of like the southern and western side of the country remaining above average. A lot of normal conditions for the plains, the Midwest, Ohio Valley, Northeast, and maybe the Great Lakes region being a little bit below normal in terms of precipitation for a week out from now to 2 weeks out. So, let's see here. I think the wave off of Africa will become Humberto. The wind in late September and early October will become, is it Imelda? Let's see, I feel like we get more landfalls very late September, October, very early November. I agree with you on that, actually. I agree. It seems like some of the most memorable, some of the most systems that have impacted is usually during like September, October. Obviously, statistically, September 10th is peak hurricane season. That's where, on average, we've had the most systems happening at once, per given years, throughout the years. So, and that falls on the 10th of September. But, October, you got to remember, still is a very active month in the tropics. I mean, shoot, like last year we had Milton. That happened in October, I think Helene, wasn't Helene in late September? Or I'm a little bit, I don't really remember whenever Helene was, but I do know Milton was like kind of early, mid-October. So we'll see. But yeah, just remember though that October is usually a pretty active month here in terms of the tropics as well. So, we can't let our guards down completely. I know a lot of people are. They're like, well, the season's over pretty much. It's not. It's actually still far from over. We still have a good month and a half or so. Actually longer, consider we have a little bit of November to go through as well. It doesn't end until the late part of November. But the most active is usually September and October. Is usually whenever we have the most activity here. So we still got to remember we got October to go through, Let's see, Sandy was a late season storm. Yeah. Let me actually look up when Sandy was here. When was Hurricane Sandy? I'll also look up Helene as well. Sandy was October 22nd. I think that's when it made landfall in the Northeast. Hurricane Helene. Yeah, Helene was September 24th. We're actually coming up on the 1-year anniversary in like 5 days for Helene. Yes, indeed. We are indeed coming up on the anniversary to that. Wow. Let's see here. Just because it's quiet right now doesn't mean things can't ramp up and get one after another. That is exactly what I'm trying to say. Yep, absolutely. You nailed it. Yeah, I mean, despite the slow start of the season this year, it doesn't mean it can't end it out with a bang. I mean, because it can happen. Absolutely. I mean, we're still in hurricane season. Everything's all warmed up. We're still primed. I mean, anything can happen. Absolutely. It's just, some people make assumptions, that they like to assume that it's over. Despite the beginning of the season being slow, yes, I will admit it's been super slow. This year's been very quiet in the tropics. But, people usually assume because it starts like that, it means it'll end that way. That's not true. That is not true. In some scenarios it could be, but in this one, I don't think it will. I think we have a bit more. I think we're going to have a lot more activity in the second half here. Within the later portion of this month, going into especially October, I think we're going to be the most active. But, time will tell. Time will tell, absolutely. Let's see. I feel like Imelda would be the strongest storm of the season. I mean, it's hard to tell if it's going to be the strongest storm or not. There really is no way of knowing for sure. I mean, a feel like and a most likely is a big difference. I'm not trying to harp on you or anything like that, but it's just you really can't tell. You really can't. I mean, because the system could be a short-lived temporary storm. Maybe it runs into some dry air and wind shear, which kills it out, while it briefly gets a name. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Let's see here. I've been researching the atmosphere across the world, and I have my hypothesis. Just wanted to know your thoughts. Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, we'll definitely just see what happens, and regardless of whatever does occur, we'll absolutely, cover whatever comes our way. But, like we mentioned, as of right now, in terms of Gabrielle, not going to be an issue. At most, a little bit of high waves and some rip current concerns for Bermuda, not the United States. The U.S. is going to be completely fine with this system, not even a single impact. And, of course, we do have this new disturbance here, which, like I said, I think this thing's just going to go away. There's really limited support on the system overall. It's very unlikely it's going to do anything, to be honest. But I'll be surprised if the models turn around on this system. But, that's why we'll still keep an eye on it. I mean, it's still a disturbance. We'll keep an eye on it. But I just don't expect much out of this guy right now. At least with the current support we have now, I do not expect any big stuff out of this guy. So... anyways, folks, well, if you guys have any questions before I roll off, go ahead and throw them down in chat. I'll be more than happy to answer them to you guys. But, like we mentioned here, I mean, things are pretty quiet, both in severe weather land. I mean, tropics, we have a little bit of activity, but, nothing super impactful other than the fish out there. But other than that, we're pretty good. I mean, obviously, we don't want to go far down in the models. Anything above 180 hours out, in my opinion, is considered really getting deep into La La Land. A lot of hypers like to really go far out, which I don't, because it changes literally every run, because of how much uncertainty there is. But, within at least the next 180 hours out, the next week or so, I mean, there's really just not a lot other than Gabrielle. I mean, it's pretty quiet. Pretty quiet. Omar says, could Florida get a major hurricane in October? It could. Hypothetically, it could. But will it? We do not know. We do not know. I mean, yeah, there's just no way to tell. It's as simple as that. I mean, it could in theory, but it also could not in theory as well. It's 50-50. So, we'll see. I mean, it's not even really worth putting a percentage on it because of how uncertain it is. But anyways. Do I think the Deep South will get more snow this winter, like Florida Panhandle? I mean, so here's the thing. I've actually been, wanting to do my, my winter forecast. I've been really needing to get to it. But let me show you something real quickly. And I'll show you exactly what this means, and then we'll probably roll off for the night, okay? So here's the ENSO forecast for this year. This is the models that have ran, I believe, this September. Yes, so this is September models. Okay, so you can see the majority. We have our dynamic average, which is in the red, and our statistical average, which is in the green here. So we're really just going to go off of our averages here. We don't want to make it too complex. Let me bring up my pen real quickly. By the way, guys, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. It'll be greatly appreciated. All right, here we go. All right, now I got my pen. All right, perfect. So middle ground, you can see between the averages has us on average between statistical and dynamical right in here, okay? So these down here, these letters, these represent the 3 different months. So you have NDJ, November, December, January. I like to go off of DJF, December, January, February. That's kind of like the heart of winter, essentially. And you can see on average it has us right at the neutral line to La Nina line. So here's La Nina, and then this is El Nino up here. So we're not going to be in an El Nino more than likely, considering there's like no models that really support it. More than likely we're going to be in a low neutral stage, which is neither La Nina or El Nino, or either a very weak La Nina, in which those two conditions are possible. Now, let me go ahead and show you something. La Nina winter patterns. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys something. So say we were to have a La Nina season. This is what it could look like, okay? So let me go ahead and show you here. Okay, so this is if we had a La Nina, right? So you're talking about Florida, lower down south activity. So this is what a typical La Nina looks like, bringing a lot more cooler air from up north. A bit drier. There's a cut-off tropical jet stream where we don't get hardly any precipitation at all. I mean, we get some, obviously, but not much. A lot dry across the south, so if we were more in a La Nina this year, more than likely we would probably not see a whole lot of that activity here. The Ohio Valley would likely see a bit more snow, considering that, the jet stream brings both cold air and moisture, which means like some of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley could be a lot more above in terms of snowfall. But remember, this is if we're in La Nina, which it's right on the border between weak La Nina and neutral. Now, ENSO neutral conditions. Let me go ahead and show you guys this. So it shifts things up a little bit whenever it becomes neutral. So actually during these neutral concerns, or these neutral patterns, I should say, looking at them, it's a little bit different. So what is similar is that we still have that cold jet that usually brings down a lot of cold air. So more than likely, we're going to have a lot of cold air coming down, into the country. There's likely going to be a couple of cold polar vortexes, some cold spells, very, very likely. But neutral conditions actually brings in some more moisture. So I feel like it could be maybe normal to maybe slightly above normal in terms of the amount of moisture in the south here. So there could be some more storms further down south. It just depends on, the oriental path of the jet stream during, a given moment. Sometimes the jet stream can dip further south, allowing for more storms to happen further south. It just really depends. But regardless, what we can tell you, once again, between La Nina and El Nina, between La Nina and neutral, which is what we're going to be in this year more than likely, is that cold air. So it's likely going to be pretty cold up north this year. Down south, it could go either way. It could be wet, it could be dry. We'll just have to see what kind of happens. I mean, I think it'll be kind of maybe more towards normal, maybe slightly above normal in terms of precipitation in the south. But, we'll absolutely have to see here what happens. But anyways, that's enough on that. That's my take on that for now. Let me know what you guys think. And I'm going to make a video about basically what we talked about here in the future. Hopefully very soon, because I've been kind of slacking, I ain't gonna lie. I've been needing to make my winter forecast video and stuff like that. So I'll get into that here hopefully soon. Anyways, what's my thoughts on the 2026 hurricane season? It is too far out to tell. At that point, it's just way too far out to tell. I mean, that's like over a year from now. Can't forecast really to that accuracy. No, I mean, basically, we just got into the point now where we could see what the winter could look like, yet alone we still got all the next spring to go through. We still got, into next summer to go through. It's too far to look at that distance, It's hard to look a week out in some cases, yet alone a whole year. You know what I'm saying? I mean, here's the thing. So in weather, there's a difference between climatology and meteorology. Okay, so climatology is weather over time. Meteorology is weather in the current or near future. Okay, so climatology, we can look a little bit further because it's lower resolution models. And what I mean by that is it's not like super high in depth as like current models are, if that makes sense. So there is definitely a difference between, forecasting in the near future and the extended range. In the near future, we have a lot of high-resolution models that can, look at a bunch of things in good detail. The further you go out, that detail goes down a lot. With the climatology models, the resolution's very low on those. It's more of a pattern type of thing than a, hey, that storm's going to be right there at that time type of thing. Does that make sense? I'm trying to explain it the best I can. Omar says, let's stop talking about the winter and go back to hurricane season because I live in Tampa, Florida. Well, that's a little rude, dude. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not trying to be mean, but it doesn't all revolve around you, dude. I mean, we want to talk about everything. We already talked about the tropics, and people want to know about the winter as well, so that's fine. Let's see. I think the peak for this hurricane season will be 9/25 to 9, or 9/25 to 11/10. I mean, it's possible. It's possible. No, you're good, Omar. Don't be sorry. I'm just saying, dude. I mean, other people want to know about the weather or the winter as well. It's not just what you want, But anyways, All right, everybody. Well, thank you all for joining. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Like I said, there's just not really anything super impactful going on, thankfully. So that's really good. And we're gonna keep everything. We'll keep you guys up to date, basically, with everything that goes on here. I mean, we'll hop on tomorrow as well. We'll do a bit of another update for you guys tomorrow, like we did today. So we'll be here to keep you guys in the loop of everything. But right now, don't worry about the weather. Just keep doing your thing, and everything should be relatively good. Let's see. Honestly, we could get a late season storm, but I don't see it at the moment. It's possible. It is definitely possible. You're very welcome, Brady. No problem. Let's see here. Thank you, man, for the stream. You are very welcome, my friend. Mia, you are very welcome. And, of course, if you guys are new to the channel, consider subscribing, leaving a like. It'll be greatly appreciated. And I just want to say thank you, everybody, for watching. It is much, much appreciated. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining. Y'all have a great day or a great night, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.